and welcome to Calling the Audible Division C. My name is James Floriani. To my left, I have Mr. GM Calethris himself, looking all swaggy with his nice beard. How's it going, GM?
Well, and yourself?
I'm very well. We got Antonio to my right. He's producing the show today. Today's the first...
I have no idea who that is.
Chapman.
It's Chapman. It's Chapman.
I know, but I never really got that, so I never really called him Chapman.
Okay,
before.
that's fair. And
Chapman just reminds me of like that ice cream that's like super old, but your parents eat it.
How do you think he got the nickname? That's actually how he got the nickname.
Well, I didn't know that story.
Pease's father left his ice cream unattended, and Chapman went to town.
Oh, he went to town, huh?
That's actually how it happened.
Oh well. Well, moving on before I get too hungry here. We're gonna recap a few games. So the Coyotes, they start off their season after winning the Division 4 championship with a 46-19 win over Top Sauce. What happened here?
Cool. This is the first game we're going to talk about. This is how you and I get introduced. That's really fine.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Top Sauce were really just unable to execute. We started off strong, got hurt by a couple bad snaps, a couple of overthrows and interceptions, and Coyotes were faultless, even without Kevin Smuda.
Mm-hmm. I see Josh Feeder had another 4 touchdowns. It seems like when Smuda's not in action, it seems like, the two Feeder brothers just have something going that nobody else can really figure out. What can you say about like this telepathy on the field?
It's definitely there. They definitely have that chemistry. It also helps that Feeder will start in, say, the right wide out position, move to slot, get moved around to the other side of the field. They move him around the field to sort of find the weak spots and exploit it there. And you almost need to play like a 3-1 corner lock and have someone man on him in order to kind of neutralize that.
Absolutely. Nardone kind of struggled in his first Division C game this year. There was a lot of talk about, Kwesi and Khalil being on the roster. I don't think that's the case anymore.
Khalil was on the roster but wasn't able to commit. Kwesi was actually not.
Okay.
But yeah, it's always been this sort of hybrid of teamless and Top Sauce.
Yeah. Justin McLean accounted for 108 yards of the offense. That's pretty much there was only 3 guys with a reception, inclling yourself.
Yeah, we're doing badly when there's 3 people who catch the ball and one of them is me.
Yeah, a catch for like 13 yards? That's pretty legit. But what can you say about your other guys on your team? How can they rise to the occasion?
I think it's more about just getting rid of those mental errors. Vince had a couple of overthrows and underthrows. The receivers weren't helping him out with drops. I think that it kind of showed that this was the first time the team actually got together and played as a unit. So I feel like going forward, it's definitely going to help and be a little bit easier. But for now, those are the sort of pains that you struggle with when you show up and just play for the first time.
Absolutely. And the Coyotes on their end, having played them, do you think they can repeat and win the championship in C, having moving up?
Well, considering, like, from an objective point of view, considering Top Sauce on paper and how well they did against them without Kevin Smuda, it's fairly likely, yeah.
Yeah. So you think you're a good team?
I think that on paper we have a good roster.
Gotcha. But on the field, it's a different story?
Oh, definitely. Again, I caught passes more than other people.
There you go. Second game, no fly zone. Absolutely dismantling La Sauce, 51-7. But again, it's Corey Kennedy behind center. I thought it was going to be François Raymond, but his shoulder is still injured. So how do you think that affects La Sauce?
I think if you want to know how it affects La Sauce, go look at how La Sauce played in Division 3 last winter. Mm-hmm. FPF is a QB-centric league. It's very, very difficult to get going if you're not doing well on offense, and that's unfortunately all there is to it, especially in Division C.
Do you think that that's kind of the reason why their defense has struggled so much is because the offense can't move the ball?
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you're on the field for 75 to 80% of the game, you're going to get tired, and you're going to lose that drive and motivation to even want to come up and make those plays.
Absolutely. Can we expect this kind of sheer dominance from NFZ, no-fly zone, this season, or was this kind of just not luck of the draw, but more playing a team that, again, is struggling on offense?
Absolutely. Sorry, that was my best you impression.
Absolutely.
They're very strong from top to bottom.
From side to side too? Or?
From side to side. Terry Tam didn't include them in his top 10, and is going to pay for that for sure. They're going to call him out every week. They're going to do really well, and it's basically despite Terry Tam.
Mm-hmm. Steve Sanner and Vinny Golano were added to this roster, to an already really strong roster. And Sanner absolutely went off this game, scoring 5 touchdowns on offense and adding 3 interceptions on defense. What did these two guys add to NFZ?
Well, they're already strong to begin with. Center is part of that sort of core as well now. I think that we had forgotten for a couple seasons, like there had been talk amongst the media that Center hadn't been as strong as he had been, say, on the BD Bandits in winter 2013, winter 2014, stuff like that. But we see that we're seeing the Center of old, and he's really just showing up and making plays and just being solid on both sides of the ball.
Do you think this is more like mental, or do you think he's been training in the offseason for FPF? Like, do you think he's taking it really seriously?
Who doesn't take FPF seriously?
Right?
Come on. What else do you guys have in your lives?
No, absolutely. Like every night.
Yeah, nothing
go
tops
home.
this.
No, not at all. Family? No. Girlfriend? Hell no. Third game, we got No Big Deal beating Keyport Lock 32-12. No Big Deal is kind of a mashup between Recipe for Disaster, Obamacare. You have
and then just Jordan McLaren there to
Jordan
catch jump balls.
McLaren, and you have the guys from the U as well, the White brothers. So this is kind of a fun little mashup. This to me, I rank this team number 3. Like I think they're going to be really, really good. They can win a championship. It's going to depend on how Applebaum plays.
I don't think it's just going to be about how Applebaum plays. There's this roster, just it doesn't always make that eye test. Like you look at it, you're like, I don't think this is a championship team. I think that there's going to be a couple teams down the stretch in week 6 or week 7. We'll come back and talk about this, or we'll forget about it and never mention it again if I'm right or if I'm wrong, depending. But I feel like there's going to team week 6 or week 7 just like dismantle this team. 7, 8, like towards the end of the season where they start getting comfortable. They've been doing well all season, and that's just going to dictate their playoff run, unfortunately.
But do you not think that this is I think it's a much improved roster from Recipe for Disaster. What do you have to say about that?
Recipe for Disaster, I was always critical because they lacked a lot of height, but they had a ton of chemistry. They knew they were all going to be on the field. They played well together, and things just always tended to go their way. It helps having a solid rusher like Ryan in your corner as well to sort of give you more time, give the defense that first 3 seconds to just jump those routes and play aggressive defense. I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. So if you were to measure, say, Recipe for Disaster against this team, I would lean more towards Recipe. Yeah. Also missing Kevin Bustani.
True, very true. But then again, if you look at Keyport, this is a team that has Jeff Rosenblatt, who really tore up the league in Division 5 last winter, or 4, Division 4, 4B.
You're making a statement. Don't ask me a question.
This was Division 4B, and he had a really good season, and so holding him to 12 points, pretty much. Their defense, No Big Deal, scored as many points as the Keyport offense did, 12 points.
Yeah.
So if you're saying there was a big thing with the rusher.
When you're pulling guys off the field at the last second, though, like the Alward brothers from 2.5 dabs, if you're pulling them off the field at the last
I like how you included that little dab as you went away from the microphone. It was very smooth. Do you want a dab for everybody? Just like...
There's no one who's going to do it better than you did, so I'm going to step down on that. However, when you don't have your full roster, it's very, very difficult to even muster up points to begin with. So kudos to them for doing well, but
it's true. I play with Jeff on Legends of Division A. And right after my game, he was asking me if I could sub, but I had a Division B game. And then he was like, "Shit, I gotta find some people because we're only 5." So he was walking up and down all the fields looking for people. So he found the Aylward brothers, who are obviously pretty good, but did not lead to a win in the first week. So second little segment here. I'm just gonna ask you some rapid fire questions. I want you to answer quickly, whatever first comes to your mind. And I don't want I don't want any thinking. Just
okay. I don't even have the questions in front of me.
Yeah. So first question: who's got the better D, NFZ or NBD?
NFZ.
Name a Division C player that reminds you of the little engine that could.
Brent Bodkin.
Brent, really?
Yeah.
How is he little?
Because he's a little bit shorter. He's built like a train. Like he's definitely the little engine that could.
That's true, but he's not really underrated, is he?
I saw him on the field making plays in Division C. Sean Avram throwing him passes, so yeah, definitely underrated. He's more of a defensive player in most people's minds.
Gotcha. Most likely to steal your girlfriend, Sammy or Josh Feeder?
I'm gonna have to go with Sammy because he's a quarterback.
Yeah, quarterbacks get to all the girls. Is that what you're going with?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cliche of you.
You asked me for my immediate response.
I'm very happy with your response.
So
that's
obviously
great
it's going to be canned and
cliched. Which Sarantola brother is most likely to rock Backstreet Boys as pregame pump-up song?
Christian. I think you see him.
He's got the hair.
He's got the hair. He walks around with the headphones pregame, anyways. So that's almost definitely what he's listening to.
I would agree with that one. Is Mike Adona taking performance-enhancing drugs? Because we've seen a quite.
Has he played better than you did in Division B at quarterback?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. We've seen quite an improvement.
Why can't he be the one more likely to steal someone's girlfriend?
I mean,
he's definitely if the performance-enhancing drugs is being handsome, Mike Adona's your man.
I mean, yeah, the way he slicks back that hair, pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to compete with that. Will Simo Dagenet, who's sitting right in front of me, ever eclipse the 60% completion percentage during a season?
I feel like
in any division.
I feel like it's going to happen at some point, especially with P's advertising. Like, hey, I captained a season where Simo only threw 9 interceptions. So I feel like that'll be P's next pet project.
Okay. He's looking all sketched out right now, but he just brought us coffee, so thank you, Peas.
We're discussing whether you can get Simo over a 60% completion percentage.
I know you're doing all that you could. I know you're trying really hard. I've noticed all your efforts. So, final question: the percentage of chances that the new Eskimo brothers, so like Trevor Ruffner and the new guys, that they had to meet. I'm saying meet the girl.
This is a joke that doesn't really translate well to radio, but you asked for a percentage, so I'm going to go with just a random percentage number I can think of off the top of my head. 69. Let's go with that. Thank you.
I like that. I like that one. You want to take a break, or you want to keep going?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
Keep going, because
gotcha.
Our producer is, yeah.
Gotcha.
We're doing it live.
Cool. So we're going to straight into our power rankings. So our preseason power rankings, not including what happened this week. So GM has got those. I've got those as well. So we're going to list the teams from 10 to 9. So at number 10, I had the Eskimo Brothers.
Okay, so Eskimo Brothers, even at first glance, you look at them, they've been sort of consistent. You know that you've got the Sean Steen on both sides of the ball. But you mentioned Trevor Ruffner before, and I feel like Trevor Ruffner is one of those players that preseason just kind of slipped through the ranking, the cracks in the ranking
65
system.
or something like that. I was like, what?
That's definitely, honestly, if not one of the best ratings in Division C, the best.
Yeah.
He's going to do really well for them.
Buck,
yeah, absolutely. I think he last played on $5 footlongs, where he was considered for like two-way player of the year. Had solid interceptions, solid touchdowns, so that's huge for them, and it sort of takes the attention away from Sean Steen as well. He's not going to be double covered as often because they have another game breaker in Trevor Ruffner. So it's definitely a team to keep an eye on. I think putting them 10th is perfect. Yeah,
that's why I put them 10, because of the addition of Trevor Ruffner and a few other guys. I thought that they can really take that next step and improve on that winter season. At number 9, I had Brocasian.
Look, it's the same song and dance for Brocasian. There's 7 guys, 8 at the max. They play both ways. They play really, really strong. Another team that has that sort of chemistry I mentioned that that Recipe for Disaster have. These guys know each other really well. So Christian knows where his brothers are going to be on the field to throw them the pass. He knows where Kyle Bobsey's going to be. And they just play together as a unit, and that's the reason for their success. It's the reason why they have a championship. It's the reason why they're always in this sort of preseason power ranking, or in this case, week 1 power ranking.
Yeah, and we saw that, Jonathan Lewis being added to the roster again, like last spring, and we know that he had a huge impact on that team. So I think they can really, they can possibly make some noise in the playoffs with him on the roster as well. Number 8, I had Jagerbaum, who I think can surprise some people.
Jagerbaum, especially considering the players that they've sort of brought in the last little while, that's sort of almost a Jagerbaum Mongoose mix. They do really well. There's seasons where they perform poorly and then come alive at the right time, and then there's seasons where they play well all season long and then win a championship.
Yeah.
So I think it's not surprising to see them here. It all depends on how they execute now.
Do you think they're better off with Cedric Knuckle or Mendy Cardishon, who they just pretty much replaced with?
I think most people would take Cedric Knuckle in this case, but that's no knock on Mendy Cardishon. In fact, one of the biggest qualms we have about Mendy is that he's been a solid two-way player in the lower divisions that's never really played higher. Mm-hmm. So I think that this would be a good opportunity for us to see what he can actually do in a division like Division C.
At number 7, we have Bearskins.
It's hard because they were a Division B team. They lost that sort of
Yeah.
might and muster. I think it also came down to the fact that the Incredibles are back in the league. So the Ettinsons have dropped to Division C. They have Marco on their team. It's still going to be...
Yeah, I think I put them at number 7 because you never know what you're going to get with the Bearskins. But like they can be as high as number 2 or 3 or...
They play really well. It's great to see Sasha Papich back after his injury as well.
Yeah.
The same sort of rule applies that this team will rise and fall on Neil Ettinson. If he's doing well, the team's going to do well. If he's not, the team's not.
Yeah,
and
supporting cast is one of the strongest.
That's exactly it. And I know that that's sort of a cliche for quarterbacks in FPF, but it's especially true of this team, considering how much they rely on him to really move the chains for them.
At number 5, this is a team that I don't know, for some reason, I don't think any of the other 3 guys that did the power rankings actually put them in their power in the top 10. I had them at number 5, 69ers. For some reason, people thought they were going to struggle. I don't see it. I think that they're going to come out strong because Dean Dimitriou is going to tear it up.
They have up and down seasons. I could have seen them more at about 7th, 8th, 9th in the top 10, but it's still feasible to see them here. They have solid seasons. I think they've made playoffs every time they've played in Division 4. I think the addition of Craig O'Brien as well on this team, like they've been solid to begin with, but I think he's going to give them a little bit more of that drive and focus. Like he's a little bit more experienced than everyone else in that team combined. I think he is.
Is that a way of saying he's old?
Yeah, he's definitely old, and he'll appreciate being called old. So
and
players are going to
start. He's a phys ed teacher too, so he can
players are going to start playing off on him, and that's when he's going to do the damage. He has great vision on the field. He has great knowledge of the game, and I think that he's a good complement and a great player to bring in, even just to sort of help direct and lead this team, which is already successful.
At number 4, I kind of want to mulligan on this one. I put Lassos because I thought that Raymond would be throwing.
Guess what? You work in media. You don't get a mulligan. Your mistakes
my
are up for everyone to see.
Exactly. So I put Lassos near the bottom of the league now, but they're at number 4 in this one. So do you have anything to say about Lassos that you haven't already said? There's nothing really to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gotcha. Number 3. These are like, I think the top 3 teams are by far the top 3 teams. I think there's a big jump from these top 3. So no big deal at number 3.
Like I mentioned, no big deal earlier on in the podcast. I'm not going to dwell on that a little bit more. They're definitely, especially considering that it looks like B seems a little bit. Conference B seems a little bit weaker than Conference A. Like a lot more of the bottom tier teams we're starting to find are located in Conference B. I think that that's going to really give them, with their strength of schedule, just like a coast to the playoffs. Minus that week 7 or week 8 that I mentioned.
Minus that blowout. Gotcha. Number 2, no fly zone.
Yeah, this team is solid. There's nothing much that can be said. You saw that how everyone really just ranked them towards the top because we know that it's kind of the same song and dance with this core, and it's nice to see them do well.
And number 1, it's the Division 4 champs. I put them there because they deserve to be there. The Coyotes.
Yeah, we lost. I can't say much more than that. There's nothing I can say to sort of counter that, considering how well they came swinging out of the gates.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we're kind of headed? I didn't even check the conference, but do you think we're headed for if they're different conferences, Coyotes no fly zone final?
Yeah, that they are in different conferences, and yes, that is a strong possibility.
Gotcha. Let's head into some previews for week 2. Okay, so we got our first game on the docket is Honey Badgers against Jaegerbomb.
This is one that puzzled me for a little bit. I was looking at the schedule just at upcoming games, and I wasn't sure. I think it's going to come down to Jaegerbomb's defense, just because they have a little bit more cohesion and chemistry. Honey Badgers practice a lot and scrimmaged in the preseason, but I feel like they're against more experienced teams. They're going to struggle a little bit. Really? Also, a solid rush on Doug McKernan does help, and Jaegerbomb can offer that.
Mm-hmm. But do you think that, you look at Honey Badgers' roster, and it's pretty much guys that have been in the league for a while and guys that have been successful, too. You got Jeremy Anderson, you got the Jordan Moses, you got McKernan, you got the Daouz.
Look at teams, though, where you have guys that are sort of successful but don't always play well together.
Yeah.
Green Indians would be a great example of that. But like, just because players do well on their own doesn't mean that they're going to be great in a sort of system together. And I think that might be where Honey Badgers struggle.
That's a fair point. So you got Jaegerbaum winning this one?
I do.
Gotcha. I tend to agree with you. Second game, we got 69ers against the Gotham Knights, who just lost a heartbreaker against Jaegerbaum.
By 1 point.
By 1 point.
That was a really interesting game to see, but that's not the one in mind. Sorry, go ahead again. It's
69ers.
69ers, thank you.
Gotham,
69ers, I mentioned before, they're a top 10 team. At this point, at this stage, I don't think that they're going to even lose this at all.
Yeah. How do you not lose at all?
They're going to win.
Yeah? They're going to win. They're going to all of the game they're going to win. And third game, I agree with you. 69ers take this, I think, by 2 scores.
I like how you question my answer and then you're like, oh, wait, yeah, you're right anyways.
I just like the way you phrased it. It was just a creative way to talk. In the third game, we got no big deal against our Coyotes. I think this is by far the game of the week in Division C. Number 1 against number 3.
And until it happens, I'm going to pick Coyotes all the way through. They've been solid so far. I think while no big deal are really, really good, it's going to be tight. I like to see the Josh Feeder Jordan McLaren matchup though. I think that's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on.
Do you think McLaren gets his? Like, do you think he gets a pick?
I think he will. Yes, I think that overall McLaren will win that matchup, but the Coyotes will win.
Yeah, I also agree with you there. Again, if Smuda's there, I think the chances of them winning increases by a lot. So we'll have to see about that. But yeah, if Smuda's there, Coyotes all the way, for sure. Let's go through the other. How much time do we have?
Okay. Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's go through all
just one word team picks.
Yeah, exactly. 1 word team picks, and give me like 1 word why, or like 1 sentence why. Okay, can you do that?
I can. I worked with Mo.
We got Killer Bees against
Brocasian. Just a better team.
So I was waiting. I was like, is he going to? Gotcha. Evolution, top season.
Evolution, top season don't have consistency yet.
But does Rick Cummins have it as a quarterback?
Compared to Jordan Maxwell, whose top receiver is probably going to be missing.
Okay. Evolution. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do this one since it's your team, and you're obviously going to pick yourself. So top sauce, show me your TDs.
Top sauce.
I think it'll be really close, actually. I think it's going to be a close game because you guys have a solid defense, but Mike Adon has been on fire. I'm going to go show me your TDs by 2 points. Give me a convert game.
Cool.
No fly zone brunch buddies.
No fly zone.
No contest. No fly zone all the way. 69ers. Simon Dagen is going to throw like 8 interceptions.
Yeah, we discussed the 69ers game.
69ers Gotham Knights. Yeah, Honey Badgers. Bearskins, Blues Branleurs.
Bearskins. Les Bleus Branleurs. I don't know why they're
nothing
back
good's
in
going
C.
to come out of your mouth right
they're
now.
back in C.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I know for sure. I respect teams that kind of, challenge themselves, but at the same time,
hey, if you want to
learn,
if you want to go 1-9 or 2-8, that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah. Props to the Blues Branleurs. Keyport Lock, no name.
I think I'm going to go Keyport Lock on this one, provided they have their full roster.
Yeah, I think if there's 6 if there's 6 people, I think Keyport wins this one. Varennes against Warhawks.
Oh, Warhawks definitely. Varennes right now, I don't think that Anthony Van Dram is a great quarterback and an even better receiver and two-way player. I just don't think that they're deep enough to go up against Warhawks right now.
Yeah, and Warhawks are coming off like a pretty bad loss against Commission. They scored 8 points, so I think they'll come out with revenge on their minds and take it to Varennes. Former Tomahawk against MVE.
I think I'm going to go with former Tomahawk on this one. MVE, which are the old playground, which are the old loose cannons, which are the old Titans, which are the old ad nauseum.
Got the historian going in.
Thank you. I just think that right now MVE aren't going to come out of this one with a win.
Do you like former Tomahawk's new name? I mean, they're not a nightmare anymore.
Yeah, they're also former.
They are.
I like the former part.
You
I
like,
can
yeah, I
respect
know,
that.
I know, because you have experience with the formerlies and the formerlies, all that fun stuff. So, Lassos Eskimo Brothers.
Eskimo Brothers.
Yeah, no contest there. Eskimo takes it by a lot. Stockton Slap against the Commission is our last game.
Stockton Slap. The Commission did have a really, really solid win, as you mentioned, but Stockton Slap just, at first glance, looked like a team so weird that they don't belong in C, and yet they're going to do really well.
Doesn't every team that Joey Taylor play on look like a team that doesn't belong, but
Yes,
always
but,
manages to win?
But even not just Joey Taylor, but if you look at that team from the sidelines, you see just the sort of lax laissez-faire. You've got Yakub and Terry just in the corner making jokes. Chapman's on that team. There you go.
Yeah,
this is the strangest looking team in Division C ever.
But Commission have a really good defense, but at the same time, their weirdness could. Do you weirdness or goodness? What prevails?
Stockton Slap weirdness. The Commission
Gotcha.
have never seen football like this before. Football.
Yeah, we'll call it that if you want it to. Cool. So yeah, that wraps up our prediction segment. Any final words, GM, before we depart for the week?
Thank you for sticking around. You probably have 13 more weeks where you're stuck with us. It'll
I
get
feel
better,
sorry.
I promise.
Yeah, this was kind of a tester. He's got his coconut water. I kind of want some next time. So
They sell it
please.
here at the Sportira Cage.
I mean, there's no one here though. If it's in the cage, what is it? If it's in the cage, it's in the game. Mo? No, he's sleeping. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you, GM. Thank you, Chapman, Antonio. My name is James. He's GM. Good night, and see you next time.